Pubs, restaurants, hotels and other hospitality venues sit right at the centre of the Terrorism Protection of Premises Act. These are the questions I'm asked most often about those sites. So we find this a lot with publicans. Fundamentally, when you're looking at how many people you can expect from time to time on your site, you must include not only your inside seated area, but any outside space you have as well. So if you have a large beer garden, if you're showing the football during the World Cup and you're going to get a lot more people than you normally would, that still counts towards what you can reasonably expect from time to time. And if that peak takes you above that 200 person threshold, then you're very much in scope of the legislation. So for publicans, it's not about your average attendance during the week. It is about your peak attendance or peak numbers of people that you have on your site. So there's a number of ways that publicans can count it. Historic footfall, your fire capacity calculations, albeit you still need to take into account your outside spaces as well. In some hospitality events, there will be people counting, literally as people come in the door and out the door. So you should be able to see historic records of exactly who's been there. You must always take your peak levels, not your average attendance. When you've got the Football World Cup on and the pub is packed, that's the top number that you need to utilise to see whether or not you're in scope and whether you breach that 200 person threshold. When you're calculating how many people it's reasonable to expect on your site, the legislation certainly doesn't want you or wants to drive any organisation to have to employ some security guard who's counting people in and out with a clicker. That's not what they want to see. They need you to show that you've taken all reasonable efforts to ascertain what that peak level of attendance is regularly on your site. Clearly bear in mind that if you're verging on that 200 person threshold, the regulator will do their own calculations based on the evidence that they can find. Don't go for the lower calculation if you think there's a reasonable way to go for the higher calculation. Always swing for the higher one if that puts you in scope of the legislation. Under the legislation, you need to establish what it's reasonable to expect from time to time on your site or on a hotel. Clearly, it can be reasonable to expect that you are fully booked. There's 2 people on average in each room. If you've got conference facilities, those conference facilities are being used and they're being used at their capacity. So you've got all your staff on and everything else that's required. Now that may only happen for a hotel once or twice a year, but as long as it does happen once or twice a year, then that number of people, that is the number of people you should utilise to ascertain whether you're in the standard tier, i.e. 200 people or above, or whether you're in the enhanced tier, i.e. 800 people and above. If you want to find out where your organisation stands within the Terrorism Protection of Premises Act, head over to provarisk.co.uk, click the Are You in Scope button, answer a couple of questions and we'll let you know everything you need to do.